Rune Factory Frontier, a game developed by Neverland and released in Japan in 2008 for the Wii console, with an English translation to follow in 2009. It is the third installment in the Rune Factory series, and the first one to appear on a home console. I wasn't really sure what to expect when I started playing this game. Recommended to me by Enjoy Your Games Ryan, I put the disc in and was greeted to a full anime-esque opening. I was immediately drawn into the cool characters and colourful landscapes. And then I started my journey. Apparently, I had amnesia, and I got taken in by a cute girl called Mist. Made new memories with her, and then one day, she disappeared. So I set out to look for her, got tired, slept in a church, and the first person that comes to visit in the morning is Mist! I found her! The end. Also, there's an abandoned house in the village. You live there now. There isn't really much of a main story in this game. You make it what you want as you play. You do have the option to name your character, as long as your name only has 6 or less characters. However, you can't customize your character, and you can only play as a male. Other than that, you're free to do whatever you want. You can delve into ruins after doing a mini-quest from Mist to unlock the first one, or you can start fixing up your farmland, which is a complete shambles. For this game, you're bound to the Wiimote and Nunchuck or the classic controller. One of the first things I noticed when I started working on my field was how touchy the controls were. I kept missing the square I wanted to work on. I soon found that holding down the C button allowed me to move slower and have much greater control until I got used to doing things without it. I also found that aiming magic is probably one of the trickier things in the game. Your character has the general stats you'd expect to find: health, rune points, and levels. Rune points are your stamina, and a majority of the things you do in the game will consume it, from planting crops to fighting monsters. Keep in mind that once your rune points drop to 0, doing actions that consume rune points will start taking your health. You can literally work yourself to death. Well, not death. You collapse and pass out, only to wake up halfway through the next day, usually with half your stamina. Combat is pretty basic. Running up to an enemy and hitting A will swing your sword, battle axe, spear, hammer, whatever you're wielding, etc., and do some damage. Weapons can be upgraded to different versions, some of which will do elemental damage or even poison opponents. When weapons have been upgraded enough, they will get a special attack, which is used by pressing A and B together. Some enemies, of course, will have a weakness to certain elements and resistances to others. There is quite a bit of dodging to be done on tougher enemies, especially with their ranged magic attacks. Be warned, some enemies can paralyze or poison you, or even stop you from using your special attacks. Ruins will be your main source of materials, from herbs to monster pots. Basically everything you get is useful in one way or another. The ruins also have certain seasonal aspects to them. For example, the green ruins will be the first one you unlock, and inside it's spring all year round. Basically, this allows you to grow spring crops all year round. Having crops in dungeons that are fully grown also have another beneficial aspect. They will produce runes, not to be confused with runies. Runes will produce a ball of light above the fully grown crops every day, and the ball restores 1/4 of your rune points. Each rune has multiple floors, with the boss being on the bottom floor. The monsters get harder as you go down, so expect to spend a fair amount of time on the easier floors getting your level up. All of the floors have a shortcut. Usually it's a door that only opens from one side. But once you open it, navigation becomes a whole lot easier, and you save precious time. You may also notice little spritey things floating on the screen, appearing and disappearing, going up and down. Those are called runies, and they aren't important. At least, that's what I thought, until I was almost in autumn, and my crops were growing extremely slow. So I decided to do some research, and found that runies are possibly the most important thing in the game. Though it doesn't really seem to tell you just how important the little fellas are. The township is divided into areas, and if all the runies are dead in one or more areas, then your crops will grow extremely slow. Every 30 days in-game, the season changes, and like in real life, different crops have to be grown depending on the season. The flowers, the weather, and the colours of the grass will also change with each season. And you will have the chance to encounter storms, which will damage your crops and put stumps, rocks, plants, and other things across your field. On the bright side of this terrible scenario, stumps are your main source of wood in the game, which is a valuable resource. And yes, the fireplace in your house is always going during winter, which is a nice touch. Your house can be upgraded multiple times, at the cost of coin and wood. Some of the upgrades are quite expensive, and there are a few different upgrade options to choose from, which affect the style of your house. House upgrades are purchased from a guy called Cross. Keep in mind though, that the upgrades purchased from Cross just add the rooms and space for the things you really want. The 4 main house utilities, which can be purchased from a guy called Loot, will be your forge, which is used to upgrade or create weapons, an alchemy lab for you to make different types of potions and fertilizers, your kitchen, which can be used for cooking various foods and drinks, and a second floor bedroom, in case you don't want to sleep across from the front door of your house anymore. Holidays happen on the 6th day of every week, and festivals take place on holidays. There are a few exceptions to this rule though. They are the only day that loot appears in the public square. All the shops are closed on holidays, and the townsfolk can be found in different areas to their usual ones. Festivals happen on certain dates throughout the year, and are a fun way of changing things up in the game, usually with some humorous cutscenes or dialogue, and a good excuse to take a break from all that farming and dungeoning. Once you get the pet glove from Cross, and get him to build you a barn, you can tame a majority of the monsters in the game. The monsters can be groomed once every day, and it raises their happiness a little bit. Once they are friendlier, they can help you out at the farm by watering the ground, collecting weeds, or even cutting stumps, etc. You can also take them out with you, and they will assist you in combat. If they lose all their health in combat, they'll return to the barn. You'll have to feed them though, so make sure you're growing feed. It grows in spring, summer, and autumn, so make sure you stockpile enough to get you through winter. Rune Factory Frontier is a surprising gem of a game to play. It's not something you expect when you first start playing, but it hooks you in and keeps a grasp on you. Sure, leveling can be a bit of a grind, but when that happens, you can go and do farming, make some money, talk to the townsfolk, or maybe even just spend the day fishing. This is my first review, and I want my reviews to go a bit more in depth into gameplay elements and cool features, as well as be critical of certain things. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more. Wait a sec. Cross mentions how he misses the times where monsters lived in the village with people, and also he's the one that gives you the pet glove. Just how old is he? And why am I the only one who seems to be able to see and remember him? Just kidding. Nobody in the town cares about Cross.